Look at this, TJ. Are you? You're not muted. If you tap the screen, see the choices. I'm assuming everyone can see you. I guess there's no way to join me.
Hear me?
I can hear you.
We are being recorded, so we got to be careful we don't conduct any business while we are at this point. So I sent Karen an email real quickly to open the meeting, and she'll take it from there. And then after we elect officers, I will walk us through. So after we elect officers, whoever is elected as chair will ask if there's a vice chair, and we'll appoint a secretary also, and then we'll go on with the meeting. I'm just going to sit in the background and listen and make sure that everything goes procedurally good. If not, I'm going to shut my camera off when I come on, Bob, or whoever's chairman, or Phil, or whoever. When my camera comes on and you see me, that means I've got something to say. So I'm just going to hang out in the background. And is Karen here? There you go, Karen. So we have 6 o'clock, and I'll turn it over to you guys. I'm just going to hang in the background and watch.
Oh, Karen is, she needs to unmute.
Am I unmuted at this time?
Yes.
Welcome to all of you. Welcome to the Waterways Board Public Facilities Remote Meeting, Monday, August 29th. I want to welcome you to the subcommittee meeting. I'd like to perhaps take things a little bit out of order this evening and go right to elections, if that's okay with everybody on there. Also, we are pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of Acts of 2021. So this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the Waterways Board during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If there is a public comment period, if you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. This meeting will be recorded and made available on the city's website in accordance with the state open meeting law. So I'd like to move now to election of officers for the public facilities. Do I have a nomination for chairperson of the Waterways Public Facilities Board?
I'd like to nominate, oh, I'm sorry.
I would like to nominate Bob Alves as Chair of Public Facilities. Everyone in favor? Is John Harvey on here at this time?
Yes, I am.
John, how do you vote?
John Harvey
Yes.
can't vote.
Can't vote, he's an alternate.
An alternate,
There you go.
So it'd be Phil and I. Phil,
right. And Bobby.
in favor of Bobby, I as well. So that would be 2. And Bob?
I'm in favor of Bobby as chair.
I as
Bobby?
well. Bob Alves, roll call vote, please, Bob.
I'll vote for Bob Else.
Okay, we have 3 in favor of Bob Alves, so that would be Bob Alves would be voted chairperson as of this evening. We will move on to vice chair as well. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I'll nominate Phil Cusimano.
Okay, all in favor? I am Karen Tibbetts, vote in favor of Phil Cusimano for vice chair. Bob,
Yes, I vote for Phil Cusimano.
Phil,
I'm in favor of me as vice chair.
all in favor? That's three votes for Phil Cusimano as vice chair. That is, we have completed our elections for the evening. So that would be Bob Alves chair, Phil Cusimano vice chair. And we can now move on. Once we're past elections, we can now move on to oral communications. If I could pass that on to Bob Alves.
Great
Sure, do
job,
we-
Karen.
Great job, Karen. Karen, do we need to elect in a secretary?
don't-
Typically we do, but there's only 3 of us. So what we'll have to do is somebody will have to take notes for these meetings. And then what eventually we're gonna do is I think we're gonna go live the next meeting.
Don't worry about it for tonight.
Right.
My clerk is gonna watch the Zoom recording and take the minutes after. But once you start meeting in person, you'll have to have somebody taking minutes.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, let's just get
Thank
through
you.
tonight's meeting and we'll build off of this one, Bob, but good
Okay.
job.
great, thank you. Okay. So now we open it up to roll call. Is there any other callers on the line?
All communication.
There's one attendee, but you got the agenda in front of you there.
Yeah, so we have oral communications. So we do have a person for oral communications. So typically we let them speak.
We don't have anybody with their hand up, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if he
So-
wants to speak or not. Keith reached out to me earlier this week and said he was gonna be on the meeting tonight, but
He's on here, but he's not putting his hand up to speak, so. Oh, he is. Here we
Oh,
go.
there he goes. Keith Palazola.
Oh, I made you the co-host, Bob, now.
Okay,
And if
sure.
I jump off the meeting, I'm gonna make you the host, but I'll handle it and allow to talk. Go ahead, Keith.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Great. I don't know if this question was something that, can be fielded in this meeting, but I'll go ahead and ask it. I'm sure that everybody is aware of the property or the waterfront property, the old pilings that are behind the building center.
Yep.
I was curious about, has anybody brought up the idea of the city trying to use that area, that property, to possibly put in more public access for docking, maybe daily docking, that type of thing?
I can speak to that, TJ, if you want.
Yeah. Go for it.
Keith, several years ago, when Safatia was mayor, this issue came up, and Phil Cusimano and I were elected to meet with Don and Peg, owners of the building center. We also invited, so in meeting with them, we asked if they were interested in maybe possibly leasing that land behind them, the waterfront property, and having a ramp come from I-4C2 down onto that leased property, or they themselves building a dock. We also brought in the folks from the Adventure, Stefan, who is the captain, and now I think he's the ex-president of the Adventure. Anyway, we brought them in. We all met, long story short, we all met at the we all met at the mayor's office. So it was Destino, Safatia, Don and Peg, the owners of the building center, Phil and I, and then Mike Fady. And then we also brought, again, the folks, we had 4 or 5 representatives from the Adventure, because the goal was, or the thought process was, or the notion was that as a draw, they were thinking about putting the adventure at the very build out 4 or 5 docks. And the furthest dock out would have the adventure. And then along that dock going out to the adventure, there would be kiosks to sell t-shirts, et cetera. And then to be in line with the DPA, they wanted to put like day boats, like you would see in Hyannis or Nantucket, where boats would be coming in and filleting haddock and bass fish, et cetera, and having people, the tourists gathering around, as well as wicked tuna. So Don and Peg were in favor of that, the owners of the building center. But what happened during that meeting, and then they actually looked at costs. We brought in, he's deceased now, but J.R. Freitas came in and he discussed with them about building commercial sized docks because of the surges that come in from around the corner and from the south, the prevailing southwest winds. The net of that meeting was Mike Fady convinced Don and Peg that the liability involved with having people walking down the docks on their property with the parking concerns, et cetera, he basically talked them out of moving forward with the proposal. That was the net.
Very interesting. Yeah, I was just.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
So when I was running for mayor last year, I spoke with Mike Fady about that. And the way his version of that was, there was a little bit more to it, that they were just more concerned and they wanted to review it longer. Because he said they would be amenable to talking about that in the future. But the big jumping point is you've got to get around the DPA.
Well,
Interesting.
That was the concern back then too, but
I'll add something, Mr. Chair.
sure. Go ahead, TJ.
I am under the assumption that you're going to see a recommendation for these dilapidated properties come out of the harbor plan in the committee that is involved in the harbor plan currently. I think that a good portion of their plan has to do with properties like the building center, and a recommendation as far as the DPA, and it's actually really not even so much the DPA, it's the vicinity to the federal channel line and how that pertains to the harbor commissioner line. And I think you're going to see a recommendation of what to do coming out of the harbor plan, which should be around November. So Keith, I think that people are sick and tired of seeing dilapidated properties and waterfront property that should totally be either, rezoned or reappropriated in Gloucester. So I think that you'll get a clearer answer come November once the harbor plan recommendation goes to the city council and to the mayor's office. So
That's very
we'd love to
interesting.
see it happen. We'd love to see it happen, Keith. And I think finally we might get some movement on that. So
Yeah,
more
if it
to
could-
follow when the harbor plan's done.
If it could make if it could make the city any money, and if it made any financial sense, I bring it up just with
For
the
sure.
thought that we could definitely use more area that's actually accessible by transient boaters, even if it was for short time rental, maybe day rental, maybe by the 4 hours, something like that. Just more access would be better for the public in general, but that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Oh, you are speaking to the choir.
Correct.
Excellent.
Correct.
Excellent. No, thank you for the time.
All right. Thanks, Keith.
Okay. All right then. All right. Next on the agenda is the equipment and public landing review. I just thought that I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page, and wanted just to list some of these. And I don't think we need to go into detail, but it's Dunfudge Inn and Stone Pier, Corliss, Lanes Cove, County Landing, Freshwater Cove, Kettle Cove, Stanwood Point, Lobster Cove, Browns Mill, and Kent Cove. Cripple Cove, Magnolia Pier, Lobster Cove, then St. Peter's Public Landing, Harbor Cove Marina, and the Harbor Master's Office is basically it. Did I leave anything out, TJ, or?
Hodgkins Cove.
Hutchins.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them, but like the ones that are actually in operation and maintained, no, you hit them all.
Okay. All right. So next on the agenda, we were we discussed the possibility of us going out and visiting these sites, these publicly owned or city-owned landings and ramps. And at first, we were talking about the possibility of visiting together. Would John be able to attend as well if he felt like attending, Steve or TJ?
I will. Yes.
You would?
So I'm getting off the boat here on Wednesday, so I'll be home for 2 weeks.
Okay, all right then. So Steve, TJ, is it as an alternate, he can participate and visit?
Yeah,
these
you
sites?
can invite the rest of the Waterways Board as well, for sure.
Okay, all right, great, thanks. So
Yeah.
we were talking about visiting Cripple Cove in the morning, in the near future, Cripple Cove, Harbor Cove, which is I-4C2, St. Peter's and Dunfudgeon. I was just wondering, Phil and Karen, if we might be able to look at a calendar and see if we can pick a day.
Yeah, that's good.
Karen, I know you're really busy. You have a bunch of projects, plus you have a personal concern. Is there 1 or 2 mornings next week or the week after that might be available, that you might be open?
I can do any morning this week and any morning next week, as long as it's after 8:30.
All right. How about starting off? How about Monday, the 5th? Oh, no, that's Labor Day. How about the 6th at, you said after 8:30?
After 8:30, any,
All right, Phil, this on September 6th at 8:30 in the morning, or let's say 9. At 9 o'clock, we'll meet at Cripple Cove, and then we'll visit I-4C2, St. Peter's and Dunfudgeon, and just inspect them. Phil, you good with that?
Monday, what, the 6th, you said?
Yes, 9 a.m.
No, it's Tuesday, it's not Monday.
I'm sorry, Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday the 6th.
I think it's,
Yeah, Tuesday, the 6th is better for me.
All right, Tuesday's the 6th, 9 a.m. All right, then.
I think it's a great idea for us to familiarize ourselves with, the conditions, the setups and everything else, and to try to be helpful with that. I think it's a great idea.
See, I look at that as level 1 or the A team. After that, it would be Stone Pier, Corliss, and Langs Cove. And then the possibility third, TJ, I don't know, County Landing, Freshwater Cove, Kettle Cove, Stanwood Point, Lobster Cove, and Hodgkins. I mean, that's something that let's tackle A and B first. So on Tuesday, the 6th at 9 a.m. And John, you're invited as well. You available, John?
Yes, like I said, I'll be getting off in 2 days.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah, so we'll be meeting at Cripple Cove though.
Yes, Cripple Cove at 9 a.m.
Bob, before we do Stone Pier, TJ, what is our jurisdiction over at Stone Pier before we?
So Dunfudgeon, Stone Pier, Corliss Landing, and Lanes Cove are state boat ramps. They're state facilities with a memorandum of understanding through the city. Each landing has a different MOU. I would be happy to email all the MOUs to you guys tomorrow for you to read. We do certain level of maintenance, very general maintenance, and the state does the big maintenance portion. Like a couple of years ago, Dunfudgeon, we replaced all the docks. That's not on the city, that's on the state. We have a really good working partnership with them. For instance, we just replaced everything in Lanes Cove. We replaced the boat ramp in Lanes Cove. We didn't buy any of the material or any of that, but we did, in partnership with the DPW, provide 2 guys from the DPW, myself, and a large piece of equipment to unload and assist the state in replacing the ramp. We don't really, they're in our town, but they belong to the state. You'll get a better idea when you read the MOU. This was a partnership that started back in the 90s, I believe, from some of these, and right through the 2000s when the Division of Recreational Boating access through the Department of Marine Fisheries came to be, when they started charging for saltwater fishing licenses and stuff like that. All that money goes back into public access for boating. So Gloucester has a really good relationship with them. Myself and Chad have built over the last 6 years. We recently just had all the lights redone at Dunfudgeon. with, again, we provided a small piece of equipment and they paid the $16,000 bill to have everything fixed. So the more you help out and abide by the MOU, the better results you have with that department. So we try to help them out as much as we can. But you really want to focus on facilities that are all Gloucester to start out with, in my opinion, like Annisquam Footbridge, Cripple Cove, the 2 commercial marinas, stuff like that.
Okay. Great. Will do.
Thank you, TJ.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And TJ, what was the third one you said was a state-run, Dunfudge Lanes Cove, and what was
There's
the
4,
third?
Corliss, Dunfudgeon, Stone Pier, and
Okay,
and
Stone
Lanesville.
Pier.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, TJ. So next on the agenda is talking about increasing fees. We talked about, or we'd like to talk about the possibility of increasing fees at I-4C2 at St. Peter's initially, and then maybe looking at Cripple Cove and, well, TJ, in terms of the fees we charge at Dunfudgeon, that's something that's solely we're responsible for, or do we need to negotiate
No,
that?
so how that works is we'll just log into an email here. But so how that works is I have some other information for you guys here. So just give me 1 second. I got 3 screens and an iPad going for this. So just give me a second here. Okay, so we raised the fees on when I first got here, the just some brief history, because there's a bunch of new people on here, right? So when I got here in 2016, immediately the Waterways Enterprise Fund had a $50,000 a year deficit right out the gate. Took over, we were minus 50K in the hole. The city had just signed a lease 50 years, 30 years, and 2 10-year options on the building that we're currently in, with no way to pay for it. They signed the lease, the mayor's office signed the lease, they had no way to pay for it. So I rolled in 2016 with like $47,000 deficit in the budget. So immediately I had to figure out, where are we losing all this money at? Like, where are we not making money, right? Some things we need to make money on, some things we need to break even on. The boat ramp, we were losing money on. So I went to the Waterways Board and I did all the data, and like I'm going to give you guys tonight for the launch. And I said, it's costing $25,000 a year to maintain that place and man it. So we got to man it on Saturday, got to man it on Sunday, sometimes always on holidays. And sometimes I'll look and on a Friday be like, wow, it's going to be 85 degrees. I'll man it. We got to cut all the grass down there. Incidental repairs, potholes, cleats, stuff like that, we're on the hook for. It was costing about $23,000 a year to run, to break even with no repairs. That's a porta potty as well that's down there, the facility, lights. And we were only taking in like 18. So I was like, we can't be losing money on a state boat ramp. So I went to the Waterways Board, suggested a new fee, would put us about $5,000 in the plus every year to be able to, maintain and do repairs and improve the facility and the grounds. So the Waterways Board voted on it. I then have to go to the state recreational boating access, fire them a memorandum with everything I just said in it, but in more detail. And then the commissioner decides whether he'll approve the raise in fee and if it's warranted. Then it comes back to me and I put it in the mayor's report, and it goes through its regular process of city council, budget and finance committee, back to the city council, then implemented. So there's an extra step only in the boat ramp that it has to go to the state. All the other fees are solely, either public facilities to the, and if it doesn't go to public facilities, which they don't all go to public facilities, the Waterways Board will just take it up and vote to the mayor's report, and up and down in the ladder that way. So we raised it then. So that's the process it'll be now. Certainly things have gotten more expensive, obviously. That was right out the gate. I think I did that right out the gate, like 2017, 2016, 2017. I'll have to go back and look. So we have had incremental raises in certain areas in the last 6 years, but a lot of stuff changed in the last 6 years. The usage of facilities is probably 2 to 3x in some areas than it used to be. Obviously, it's more wear and tear, and it's more manpower, and so on and so forth. So we can kind of go through those for every one of them that you bring up tonight.
Well, since we're not done fudging, I believe that when you became harbor master, what was it, $5? Then you raised it to $8 per launch.
Correct.
And then the seasonal is $75.
Yeah, so there was a discrepancy with that as well. The city somehow was charging different rates for different sized boats. The state's like, you can't do that. It's got to be the same fee for everybody.
All right, understood.
So you can have a different fee for commercial haulers.
Yep. And that's
But
$35, correct?
Per launch, or $350 for the season.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And we man it, we man it every weekend. So, and holiday, there's somebody down there. Plus, routine patrol of going down there, sending the guy down there, making sure people paying during the week, stuff like that.
So to stay on done fudging, I look at it as if someone from out of town goes to Godava Beach, it's approximately $30.
It's a state boat ramp. You cannot differentiate for out of towners, just so we're all clear.
Okay, all right then.
So everyone in the Commonwealth pays some kind of tax or fee in their boat registration to use the state ramp. So you cannot differentiate from in town and out of town for the boat for this boat ramp.
Great. All right.
Okay.
So right now we're only charging $8.
Mm-hmm.
So someone comes down, whether a resident or non-resident, they back their boat in, someone jumps on the boat, then they bring the trailer in their car, they park it on our property for the entire day.
Correct.
And plus you have someone there manning on weekends, the traffic to and fro, in and out.
Yes.
On our bill.
Correct.
Correct. And then the porta potty, we pay for that.
Yes, Waterways Enterprise pays for that. And recently we have trash down there now too, because city has a carry in, carry out policy. That's not the case with people, and they are filling the porta potty full of trash.
Okay.
So they take the trash to the boat, they're on the porta potty. Now I was getting all these crazy fees, and then the porta potty company was like, we're gonna take the porta potty out of there. And so we now have trash barrels down there that we have to deal with as well.
So TJ, I looked, we had recently gone up to Newburyport in their ramp. Is there any difference between Dunfudgeon and the Newburyport public ramp? Are those both state? Because their
Yes,
fees
they are.
were, their fees were $10 as listed.
Yeah, so a lot of towns have gone to $10. Have gone to 10. I think the state would accommodate 10 here. And in a larger increase, some towns are up to $150 for season passes. I can kind of, maybe gauge that with per capita and usage. We're the busiest boat ramp in the state. The only person that touches us is volume is Plymouth. I know he's like 150 for a season pass down there, and I don't know what he is for a day rate, either 10 or 12. But I can reach out to Rec Boat Access contact and see what other comparable boat ramps are at. But I know that he's at 10 a day up there. It's just the cost. I gave everybody $2 or $3 raise this year to keep employees coming back. The rest of the city's been struggling. We've been struggling a little bit, but not nearly as much as other departments. So, that cost has got to get picked up somewhere. Just the way it is.
So as a caveat of the first Waterways boarding public facilities that I've been a chair of, Steve gave me a caveat: don't bite off too much than you should. And I was thinking maybe today we could just drive a stake in the ground and specifically talk about Dun Fudging and possibly agreeing on raising the price maybe to $10 and raising the seasonal What did you say, 150 or where, that's, Plymouth charges what?
Plymouth
it
charges $10. I just looked it up.
How much?
Plymouth charges $10 as well. I just looked it up.
And seasonal, do you know what seasonal is?
Let me see if I can see seasonal.
TJ, did you just note there was another facility, a municipality that what their seasonal was for the boat ramp?
I'm looking right now. Season boat ramp now.
State boat ramp fee is $10.
Recreational season passes in Plymouth are 100.
And ours is 75.
Yep. So they're $10 and 100, and so is Newburyport, I think.
Yeah. Yes, Newburyport is.
Those, why don't, someone has to raise it, so sooner or later, either Plymouth.
Well, yeah, of course.
Why don't, no, I'm saying, why don't we go to 15 and go to 125?
Well, you can vote on whatever you want and send it to the board, and they can vote on it, and then we got to get it approved by the state. So that's how it works. So just procedurally, and Steve, if I'm wrong, back me up, but you guys will vote on whatever, and then it's a vote to recommend it to the full board.
Right.
So it'd be a motion from you to raise the fee to X and raise the other fee to X, and then everyone will vote, roll call vote, and that's a recommendation to bring it to the full board. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think we're not on the agenda to vote on anything tonight, so this is just a discussion part of it, so we'd have to put it on the agenda, next agenda for a vote formally, and put it out there rather than just.
Correct.
Yeah, because on the agenda tonight, it just says equipment and public landings.
Yeah, so we'll just have a big old discussion about fees tonight, Bob, and then your next meeting, you can bring the rates forward.
Right,
You know,
and then that way
we have that way everyone has plenty of time to do some research too.
Right, we'll have the packet, and in the packet, there should be the rates and what's comparable around us and stuff like that, so it should be,
So I just like to mention one more thing, and I'd like Karen, John, and Phil maybe to pitch in, but if you look at it from 50,000 feet, we're only charging $100 at Cripple Cove and Lobster Cove for a whole season for someone to store their dinghy for the whole season, $100. We're only charging $3.50 to $4 for primary lobster boats at I-4C2 and at St. Peter's, and we are undercutting privately owned enterprises. Frank Rose charges $10, and we're undercutting him, and he's a private enterprise. And Don King,
It was 12.
I'm sorry, 12. Frank Rose is 12. I'm sorry. Thank you. And Donnie King is 10. And they're both upset with us. They're both upset with the city.
The state fish pier, I did get numbers for you, and if you break down that complex Excel document that they sent me, it comes out to almost $9.
For 50-foot boat. Based on a 50-foot boat, right?
Well, 42.
42.
So just so you, right? So if we have a 30-foot slip and your boat's 25 feet, you pay for the 30-foot slip. That's how all commercial enterprises do it. It's not like a marina, like a wreck boat marina, right? So, it's all based on the size of the slip and what it can accommodate, and that's everywhere. That's Rose's, that's the railways, and that's the state fish pier. So most of his slips are 42. We have 30s, we have 45s, we have 150. So it just depends. But our rates are. It's important to know too that the rates, as far as I can tell with the history through the ordinance and changes, since inception, and I don't even know when, it's been at least 20 years, since inception have not been changed.
Right.
At all. This was a no-go conversation for the last administration. They're gone. The new administration's a little more realistic with what it costs to do business for some of this stuff.
Right.
We're losing, there's no money to repair anything down there. We take in about 20 grand a year on both marinas. That's enough to do general maintenance and make sure the crane keeps working. So I do think, I hate, as just a general rule of thumb, price raising. As a conservative fiscal guy who doesn't want to drive costs and taxes through the roof, but I also am running a business, if you will, because we are an enterprise fund. It's fundamentally a business. We expend what we take in. You can't keep rolling in the negative on this stuff because things fall into disrepair and then, there's no money to fix it. So things need to be sustainable. We've gotten most of our fees into a sustainable category, but there's still obviously a lot of work to do. Like Bob said, $100 to keep your dinghy at a dock with parking for the year is you might as well not even charge anything.
Right.
It's like 100. I mean, Cayman Marina is charging $1,000 a year or more for a dinghy. So, and now, I got to redo Cripple Cove this year. I got to redo all the docks down there. That's a huge number. And the $1,100 in fees isn't even going to cover half the screws to do it.
Right. I'm charged $1,000 at Beacon Marine.
Yeah. So there you go. It is the city, and by right, we are always lower than our private counterparts, but it shouldn't be a huge disparity.
Right.
It should be comparable, still less, still a city. A lot of people are taxpayers, they're already paying for the stuff, but we are an enterprise fund. You got to keep driving that home that we don't take general fund tax money. So property taxes from your houses, excise taxes from your cars, hotel tax, meal tax, all the other taxes that the city takes in, we don't get any of that. $0.
Right.
So, people want to keep up with all these services and all these facilities and then, get mad when they fall into disrepair, but they're not paying anything to be there. So it's a tough balance for me and for you all who are going to be really bringing the changes forward and the proposals forward, So I just want to kind of throw that in there.
TJ, I think part of it too is educating the public on just where does the money come from for these things, because I think most people don't even realize that we are.
No, they don't, and it's an important thing to realize. And 9 times out of 10, Karen, when I tell somebody that, they're like, "Wow, I had no idea."
Yes.
So it's it's it is what it is. But I don't think we should just keep putting the burden on mooring permit holders. There's other avenues of revenue to come in, and it should be adjusted. I don't think that a bulk majority of the department's money is from mooring permits. I don't think that mooring permit holders, the guy that's just got an 18-foot Mako in the Little River, should keep floating the entire enterprise fund because we keep raising his mooring fee.
So
Obviously,
what exactly,
with that?
so what exactly does St. Peter's pay, and what does I4C2 pay?
So it's $3.75 a foot at St. Peter's, and it's $4 a foot at I4C2. And I was told, and this is nowhere written officially, the 25-cent disparity is because there's no hoist at St. Peter's. But that's just what I was told by somebody.
But concurrent
This is
to that,
per month, right?
Per month. So you're averaging like 100 and I think I averaged it out. It's like $142 or $152 a month is what the boats pay down there.
and we give a 50% discount compared to privately owned enterprises.
Let's tell them what we pay, Karen.
I hope that did not show any of my expression.
Yeah, what's Cape Ann Marina a month?
Yeah, let's tell them what we pay.
Well,
that's a different animal over there because it's seasonal. It's April 15th to October 15th, and then I think they're up to $230 for a face dock slip, and I think they're $210 for a regular slip per foot. I mean, Karen's got a big boat over there. She knows what she pays over there.
you wouldn't want
It's
me
expensive.
you wouldn't want me to tell you what we pay.
Yeah, but then
we pay about $16,000 right now for our larger boat and a tiny boat. Yeah, and
for
that's not,
4 months.
that's not counting electricity and water.
So can we agree that between now and the next meeting, we'll pick certain facilities at first, we'll take baby steps and look at the possibilities of increasing the fees and discuss that within our next public facilities meeting. In addition to us visiting some of these sites next week. So would I, and I apologize, Steve, would I need to make do I need to propose that or?
No, so what we do is for our next agenda, we'll be able to, and after we go through and visit these places and come up with, for our next agenda, what we should do is have a little packet, and we should have those fees posted with this packet so we can see what they are. And then the process would be public facilities votes on it, then it goes to the waterway. It's an onion. There's all kinds of layers to this. So it's not just set in stone once it leaves here. It'll go to the full board. We'll vote on it. Then it gets referred out to the city council. They'll refer it to their subcommittee, budget and finance. They'll vote on it. Then it'll go back to city council. And then it'll get approved. And
It'll also have a public hearing at city council.
yeah, and it'll have to go to the state too, right?
Well, only the boat ramp will have to go to the state. The
All
rest will stay in. But when it goes back to city council, there'll be a public hearing in
Yes.
which you all who
Support
voted will have to show up and show your face and talk, for the fee raises. So,
Right.
which is fine. And I'm willing to
You,
do it
Bobby.
before, and I'm willing to explain it all to anybody, but you be prepared to talk at a public hearing. A lot of people don't, I don't know if I've ever had any opposition, to be honest with you, but you may. People get word of stuff, especially commercial guys. Just be prepared
Yeah.
So,
to be able to
And gals.
answer tough questions.
But the thing is that if we start this process now, it'll be in place for next year.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
anything we do, it's not gonna
Right.
be.
Correct.
said.
This is like
2023.
a 4 to 6 month process by the time it's written in ink in the Muni code, in the code. Okay. So, and it can be a little less than that, but you want to at least give it 6 months. So everything we're doing now will take effect for next year, which is good.
So,
Go ahead, boss.
Steve and TJ, I was just wondering if you could give us some advice, like how should we take bites at this apple? Should we look at, group them together, let's say Cripple Cove and how would you do it?
It's not okay. So it's not just it's just the dinghy fee at public landings. It's not just Cripple Cove. It's Anascorn too.
Right.
It was Magnolia. So like you just do dinghy. You go through chapter 10 of the waterways and you look at the fee structure and you just say we want to raise all dinghy fees from X to X, and you'll take a vote on it, right? So
Yep.
right now they're $100. We'll let you all decide and figure out and talk to me and do a little homework on what they're charging at private places or other municipalities. Get it on the agenda. It'll be agenda item 2. Vote on raising dinghy dock prices from $100 to $200 or whatever it's going to be. It'll be on the agenda, and like Steve said, in a packet, right? So, for me, because things get, it takes so long.
Okay.
You want to do all your due diligence and bring everything you want to bring at one time. Because it's not tons of stuff. There's only like 5 or 6 fee structures here. Because I can't be like going to city council. I got a thing at BNF and now I got another thing getting referred out next week, but it's all pertaining to the same 1052 ordinance. It's got to be all together. So you want to raise fees in chapter 10 for dinghies, the launch, everything. Get it all on one agenda, get it all, and we'll get it in one mayor's report. I can't be like spending the whole winter going to 3 meetings a
Right.
week.
right.
Right. So it'd be dinghy
But-
fees,
but-
boats. Go ahead, Karen.
You want every one of those fees justified in our packet, is that correct?
Well, you got to be able to justify
Yeah.
like when I go to raise something, like the city council's gonna be like, why do you want to pick this number? Because fundamentally, I'm the one presenting it, right? I'm the one that's presenting all this stuff. So, and I got to have backup. I got to be like, well, Newburyport is 10 and 150. Plymouth is 10 and 150. We're comparable. Our usage for the area is pretty much the same. We're paying our assistant pretty much the same amount of money to be down there. Here's what it costs a year to do business. Here's what it costs it costs us a year. Here's why we need to raise the fee. And I got to be able to have that down packed. Steve's was the council president when I brought things, before them before. It's got to be like totally transparent and exactly why we're doing it.
So would you have like in one category dinghy slips and boat slips and then done fudging in a separate, or would
No,
you?
you'll have I-4C2 commercial fees, dinghies, launch season passes, mooring fees, fines, like fines, 1052-1 fines. All our fines are $100, but each incident is a separate fine. That kind of stuff. And I'll send you some recommendations on some stuff, but it's going to take a little bit to like hash it all out. I mean, call, text, email, stop by, after Labor Day, please.
And what I suggest too is that, this isn't all going to get done on the next meeting.
No.
You know what I mean? So break it down to a couple meetings. We'll get it ready before the first of the year. And we'll get it out there. And like TJ said, we want to have all our ducks in a row, because if we don't, the council or their subcommittee is going to make us bring it back to our committee, and we're going to have to rehash it again and then go back. So
you may have one or two more of these subcommittee meetings, and then it probably will go to, it's got to go to the full board. So you got to recommend all these fee changes to the full board. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And what we can do too is, you guys have the ability to schedule another meeting a month. If we're in a pinch to get things under time restraints, instead of having one meeting a month, you can schedule 2 of these board meetings a month.
Yeah, I mean, you can schedule as
we don't
many
want to go
really as you want.
Crazy, but yeah.
You don't want to go crazy, but yeah, you can. You don't have to wait a whole nother month to have another meeting.
Right. So
that can do all your homework, and in 2 weeks, I gotta get Bob. I gotta get you access to this to be able to host these. I want to be on here tonight to answer questions to get you guys like going.
Right.
And then Steve's gonna get access to this. I can't make every meeting. I just can't.
I'll be here for 99.9% of them to make sure. That's why.
Yeah, I can't make them all. There'll be times where I'm like, whatever the case may be. But I have council meetings. I got other stuff. I got other nightly meetings, and my whole life isn't consumed by nightly meetings. I'm not a counselor.
I don't miss it. I don't miss it, buddy. I don't miss it.
I'm not elected, man. I'm a salaried employee, and I do a lot of volunteering as it is. So I'm happy to like do this and like make you know what I mean? I want to expand things, and this is also how we expand to make services better. But it's also going to make sense. While we're on fee usage, I do have some numbers for you, Mr. Chairman, for the launch that I'm actually a little blown away myself after me and my clerk went through and hammered everything out today. But where is it? She sent it to me earlier here. Give me 1 second, guys. We got too many screens going here.
While TJ is looking that up, I just want to thank Steve and TJ for guiding this meeting tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
My pleasure.
Okay.
We'll all be seasoned pros when we're done.
Yeah. So here was the big, and I know Bob already knows what I'm going to say, the big eye opener for me as far as lost revenue. And it's so FY22, this calendar year, the launch has sold 62 season passes for a total of $9,060 in revenue. Okay, $9,060. Very few cash deposits, people riding that aren't on a season pass, for another total of 300 even. So that's $5 per person, per trip, per way. Okay, that rarely happens. Keep in mind, launch is included with the transient mooring fee. So that's 62 season pass members, which is a ton, Half of those are in Southeast Harbor. That's why the wait times are so long for the launch. Okay. And that's why I can't expand out there till we get another launch. But my expenses for the launch, it's about 19 weeks of operation, runs 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Just in salary, $34,500. Not to mention bottom paint, repairs, motors, haul outs, cutlass bearings, electrical, radio dies, none of that. This year, take the motor out that blew up, $66,000 in expenses on the launch. That's a ridiculous amount of money. Took in 10,000.
You're fired.
Took in 10 grand. That
You're
is
fired.
like,
You're fired, TJ.
listen, I don't know if we'll ever be even on that. And it is a service to the city, right? And it's services stuff, but like can't have $30,000 like disparage there. That's
Well, when you're looking at that for the accounting, I mean, should we be taking some of your transient mooring fee
yes.
as part of that? Just because, I mean, that's where the value in that comes from to a certain extent.
And that's what I was going to get to next. And thanks for picking up on that, John. Yes. So we did include, the launch wasn't getting used by transients. It was like a big black eye, right? So I went up $10 on the mooring fee back then and added it to the transient service. So if you did add that, we do around 1,000 reservations a year. If you did $10 in and out, which is what it would have been, it's 10 grand. So minus 10K from that. You know what I mean? So now you're like, it was like, it's costing around 40 to 50 grand a year. We're taking in 10 in passes, add another 10 for what we're taking in from the moorings, then you're still at a $30,000 disparity. That's kind of how I figured it out. In and out, 2 people, 1,000 reservations, 10 grand.
Yeah, no, right.
So, and give or take on either side of that. It might be 15, it might be 8. You know what I mean? Who uses it? Who doesn't? Who travels with a dinghy? For whole numbers, I think you're fair enough to say 10. You can even say 15. It's still almost 30 grand. Like that's missing. So we've got to do something about that. I mean, $150. It cost me $80 to get from Boston to Gloucester in an Uber 2 weeks ago. One time.
Right.
This is like people are using this every day. We have people that use the launch every single day. If you break that down, it's pennies on the dollar per ride. It's a great service. It's an expensive boat. To replace that boat's $175,000 now. Waterways board 12 years ago paid $128,000. That same exact boats, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more now. And the service it's great, and it's slow now. I can't expand moorings in Southeast Harbor. I can't expand moorings anywhere really in the Inner Harbor because everyone wants a launch pass. I can't burden the launch down anymore. It's already overboard with times. Sometimes people waiting up to an hour on a Saturday. There's nothing I can do about it. The guys that run it do a phenomenal job, but I've been semi-short staffed for the good remainder of the season with COVID, broken bones, people's parents dying, all kinds of stuff. So I've filled in a kind of an eye-opener and a bunch of different stuff. I ran the launch all day on a Saturday. On a Friday. I ran the launch all day a couple Fridays ago, and for a whole shift. And I couldn't believe, I'd get to like 10 Pound Island, leaving Solomon Jacobs, heading to Southeast Harbor. Someone would be like, hey, pick up at Solomon Jacobs Southeast. Come all the way back in, head back out. Hey, pick up for Southeast Harbor, Cripple Cove. That's like a 30-minute rounder with the no-wake zone. So we have talked about maybe doing Southeast Harbor, every hour on the hour or something like that, or every, 8 a.m., 10 p.m. to what, whatever. We're like internally trying to figure that out. But really really the other answer is a second launch, one that services the inner harbor, one that services the outer harbor, and in a fee that's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
TJ, did you say you had 1,000 transit reservations this year
No, last year we had about 1,000. About 1,000.
versus 6 years ago, or how many?
Oh yeah, we did, you know, and that's 1,000 boats. That's not 1,000 nights. Some boats stay 5 days. We did, not that many. I think 2015 there was like 117 reservations or something like that. $18,000 in revenue. We almost hit 100K last year. It's a good, you know, that's a whole different animal. But as far as the boat goes, we need another boat, and the fee's got to be realistic. I mean, you really can't keep offering that service. It'll bankrupt us. I mean, our budget's only 480K. That's salaries. That's people's health insurance, a ticket. That's, you know, all the repairs, the building, the facilities, all the maintenance. It's no money. It's no money. It's no money in the big scheme of things. The most expensive thing you can do is stuff on the water. You know, you want to put a 4x4 up in your house, or 8x8 timber frame up thing, it's $200 for the post. You want to put a piling in, it's $2,000. You know, it's the most expensive thing you can do. Everyone on here is a mariner, knows the deal. Everyone on here is a boat owner. Guys, captain of a boat right now is sitting in it. It's the most expensive business you can be in, you know. So like, it's got to be realistic.
So TJ,
So
go ahead, Karen.
I have a question too as well. So if we're doing these fee proposals, might we be able to add the possibility of an anchorage fee? I've actually been researching other communities up and down the coast that are looking at anchorage fees for yachts, visiting yachts.
I don't know the answer to that. I would say in the federal anchorages, probably not. If we does, I don't know though. I don't know.
I just spent the weekend up Merrimack River. I went up to Amesbury and dropped a hook. I drop a hook almost every weekend somewhere, and I've never ever been approached to pay.
Yeah, I don't know in a federal.
In my life.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, Karen. I don't think so, but maybe I can do a little research on it. You know, I don't think so. I don't think federal anchor. I think that's probably some old time, you know, whatever USC code stuff that's kind of out of our hands. So we have 2 federal anchorages in Gloucester. We have the Pancake Ground. We have the one right in front of my office.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can do a little homework on it, and please continue to do your homework on it. I've never heard of it, like Bob said, but I don't know.
Well, TJ, I really think you're preaching to the choir. I think the good news is that we're all on the same page. We have a lot of work to do ahead of us. I want to apologize for all my rough edges. Never been a chair before, so I'm hoping someday if I get, you know, hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be much better than I was today. So, is there anything anybody else wants to say about the fees? I think Karen, John, Phil, increasing fees.
No,
No.
I think we covered it.
Nope. All right. Is there anything that we didn't cover today that someone wants to bring up?
Just
Yeah,
point
how
out.
do you go about getting a no wake buoy in the southern end of Cape Ann Marina? The canal end.
I do you better. I got a sign coming.
Yeah,
I already ordered
big
it.
sign.
Coming. No, big. 4x10.
Nice.
Yeah, it's coming. It's
Where
already
you
ordered. I'm just
you
waiting.
Oh,
placing it?
man.
TJ, where are you dropping it?
No, so when you come through the Blimmen, you're heading north. There's 2 pilings on the left-hand side that used to have a Cape Ann Marina sign.
Right.
That went away. There was a Cape Ann Marina sign and like something else up there. I don't even remember what it said, but it blew away like 5 years ago, the rest of it. So I teamed up with Tobin and we're doing a joint sign. And the top of it says, "Welcome to Annisquam River," entire river and tributaries, no wake, Harbor Master VHF 14. And then below it, it says Cape Ann Marina, Hotel Resort, Ice, whatever, VHF Channel 10. Big though. It's like a billboard. So that's
No
coming.
big buoy in the middle of the channel would be nice.
Well, I can't really put it in the middle of the channel, but the sign's coming, so we'll see what that does. There used to be a buoy down there, but when boats stack up at the Blimmin, people were getting hung up in the buoy. I had one there last year, but maybe the sign will help out a little bit too. But we'll
That's
see.
perfect.
TJ, this is a minor note, but the spindle between the paint factory and 10 Pound Island, you have a no wake buoy right next to the spindle. I think you put in about a month ago. At high tide, that's underwater, just FYI. I went by it today and I was like, I used it as a marker, TJ.
Is it underwater still? Because we went out there last week and added like 6 feet of chain.
It was underwater today. So I was on my 43 footer.
Oh, it's hung down.
I was cutting through at high tide and I was looking for that buoy because, you know, I'm a good sized boat. And I cut through all the time because they know it. And you used to have the green buoy there.
Yeah,
Well, now you have the no wake, and I use that as a marker. Just FYI, I said to myself musingly, I said, "Oh shoot, someone ran it over." So I got caught.
No,
up.
it's hung
And
down.
then when I got up to it, just
There's
FYI,
a
when I got,
massive rock there, and it's probably the chain's wrapped around it. We'll take a look at it tomorrow.
so I looked down. It was about 2 feet underwater. Just FYI, at high
Oh.
tide.
All right, we'll take care of it tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it. Stephen.
So typically we do a motion to adjourn and we do a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting. So I'll make them, well, I'm not a voting member, so.
I
somebody will
move
have
to
the motion.
adjourn.
I second.
All right, and then roll call.
Karen, all in favor, aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, great job, everybody. Good job,
All the
Bob.
fees are in chapter 10 of Waterways. If anyone wants to look up the other fees, chapter
Yeah.
10 Waterways, right, Bobby?
You're right. TJ, Stephen, thank you kindly.
Yep, and Bob, we'll get together over the next week or so and we'll hammer out a nice agenda for the next couple of meetings and stuff like that. We'll get it going.
Oh, I look forward to that. Thank you.
All right,
kindly.
thanks, guys.
All
We'll
right,
get working.
All right.
Yes. Good job, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye. Thanks, Steve.